All right, let's jump right in. We're going to be looking at a breakthrough in cancer therapy that honestly sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. We're talking about hacking our own bodies to see cancer not as a part of us, but as a foreign invader it needs to destroy.
So just think about this for a second. What if we could take all that powerful immunity your body has already built up, from vaccines or even just from getting sick, and what if we could aim all of that firepower directly at a tumor? Well, that's the incredible, game-changing question at the heart of this research.
Okay, I know this slide looks a little complicated, but the main idea is actually pretty simple. See that diagram at the top? That's the whole strategy in a nutshell. A tiny particle delivers a genetic message, mRNA, right into a tumor cell. The cell then reads those instructions and starts making a viral protein, something like the spike protein from the COVID virus. And that's what triggers the action on the right. The body's T cells, which are already experts at hunting that virus, see the protein, swarm the cancer cell, and destroy it. It's kind of like a Trojan horse, but in reverse, sneaking a kick me sign onto the enemy.
So the whole concept is just brilliantly simple. You paint a target on the cancer that the immune system absolutely cannot miss. I mean, think about it. So many of us have pre-existing immunity to viruses like SARS-CoV-2. Our bodies have these highly trained T cells just ready and waiting. This strategy basically hijacks that army for a brand new mission.
See, here's what's so clever. Most cancer vaccines try to train our immune system to recognize the tumor's own markers, these things called neoantigens. But a lot of the time, those signals are just too weak or inconsistent. This new approach just bypasses that whole problem. Instead of trying to amplify the tumor's weak little whisper, it forces the tumor to shout a loud, clear, and very foreign signal that our immune system is already a pro at hunting down.
Of course, having a powerful message is one thing, but getting it to the right address, and only the right address, that's the real challenge. How in the world do you get this mRNA package exclusively to cancer cells without it getting lost or worse, ending up in healthy tissue? That's the delivery dilemma.
The standard delivery trucks for mRNA are these things called lipid nanoparticles, or LNPs. But the old models? They're kind of like clunky old trucks with a lot of problems. They're a pain to build, with all these inefficient steps. And the special coatings they use, called PEG, can sometimes cause the very immune reactions you're trying to use, but in the wrong way. It's just a huge hurdle if you want to make these therapies at scale.
So what this research really needed was something better. Not just a delivery truck, but a precision-guided smart bomb. And that is exactly what these scientists developed. A totally new kind of lipid nanoparticle, designed from the ground up to solve all of those old problems.
And wow, just look at the difference here. The old method was this clunky, multi-step process that might get you, maybe 2 to 7 targeting molecules on each particle? But the new method, it's this elegant one-step self-assembly that's way more efficient and crams about 1,500 targeting molecules onto each particle. Plus, it completely gets rid of that problematic PEG coating. It's a massive upgrade.
So let's break down how this smart bomb actually works. It's got 3 key features. First, a GPS tracker. This tiny little thing called a nanobody that homes in on a protein called HER2, which is really common on certain cancer cells. Second, it's got stealth tech. That PEG-free design means it can fly right under the immune system's radar. And third, and this is so cool, it has a master key, a unique lipid structure that helps it literally unlock the cancer cell and drop its mRNA payload right inside.
Now this slide really shows us what that master key is all about. The images on the left show the old LNPs. See those rigid, onion-like layers? Now look at the images on the right. That's the new stuff. See how it's more flexible, almost like a little drop of liquid? Well, that flexibility is the secret sauce. It lets the particle fuse way more effectively with the cancer cell's membrane, basically merging with it to make sure that mRNA gets inside no problem.
A great design is one thing, but hey, does it actually work? Time to look at the evidence, and we're starting in the lab.
And the results are just crystal clear. If you focus on those microscope pictures on the top right, you can see the new particles glowing red just getting gobbled up by the target cancer cells with the HER2 protein. But now look at the images right below them. When you put them with cells that don't have that target, the particles pretty much just ignore them. That is precision targeting at its absolute best.
Okay, so the delivery works, but does the disguise? Well, this chart shows you what happens next. When you add in the T cells that are trained to find that COVID spike protein, they launch an absolutely devastating attack. Check out that first tall teal bar on the left. After 48 hours, the T cells wiped out over 70% of the disguised cancer cells. And the other control groups? Barely touched.
And this, right here, is where it gets really exciting. Lab results are great, they're fantastic, but the real test is whether this can actually work in a complex, living system. Could this nanotech smart bomb actually shrink a real tumor?
And the answer is a huge yes. This slide is showing live imaging from mice with tumors. Focus on that top row. That's the old tech. Yeah, it gets to the tumor, but the signal's kind of weak and it fades fast. Now, look at the bottom row. That's our new smart bomb. It finds the tumor, lights it up like a Christmas tree, and it stays there, concentrating its payload for over 72 hours. We're talking a signal that's about 8 times stronger.
And what's the result of that incredible delivery? This, a 73.4% average reduction in tumor volume. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a massive, massive therapeutic effect.
And here's the data that gets us to that number. This graph is tracking tumor growth over 28 days. See those lines at the top? That's the tumors just growing unchecked. The green line shows the old tech had, a modest effect. But just look at that red line at the bottom. That's the group that got the new therapy. It didn't just slow the tumor down, it dramatically reversed its growth.
So what does this all mean? Well, it's way more than just one promising new cancer treatment. This could be the blueprint for an entire new class of therapies.
Honestly, the researchers themselves say it best. This isn't just a one-trick pony. The combination of an easy-to-produce delivery system with this super clever strategy of using immunity we already have, it creates a flexible platform. It's a powerful new tool in the toolbox for fighting cancer and maybe a whole lot of other diseases too.
And that really brings us to the final mind-blowing thought here. This study brilliantly used our immune memory of a very recent virus. But what about all the other memories stored in our immune systems? From decades of vaccines for things like tetanus or measles or hepatitis? What other dormant armies are just waiting inside all of us, ready to be woken up and given a brand new target? The possibilities, they're just staggering to think about.